Welcome to Your Family's Health, the program that focuses on healthcare issues with unique and different modalities for taking charge of your health today. Experts talk weekly with our continuing roster of guests from around the country and right here in Nassau County to keep you up to date on the latest health issues and trends. Take care of your mind, body, and soul. Spend the next half hour with the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and get on the journey to better health.
Hello and welcome to Your Family's Health. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with my co-host Vanita Mathias, who is a nursing student completing her master's degree in education at Cini Polytech. And today we're talking about some health tips for seniors that want to live on their own. Our guest today is Lisa Cini, is founder, president, and CEO of Mosaic Design Studio and Best Living Tech. Mosaic Design Studio applies the latest thinking and technology to design of senior living communities, assisted living facilities, and memory care facilities throughout the country. Lisa, welcome to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So first, tell us more about you and your career and how you became CEO.
Well, I went to school for design. I was always very interested in healthcare, but I was a good artist, and I ended up going to school for interior design and then found myself falling into and loving acute care, healthcare, and then ended up working at a hospital. And with that, doing everything from wayfinding to emergency rooms to linear accelerators, all of that type of experience. And then found that I really wanted to impact people more than a couple days for their stay. And so I moved into the senior living arena and worked for a wonderful company that went public and then was sold. And that was 21 years ago when I started Mosaic Design Studio.
So Mosaic Design Studio and Best Living Tech, tell me about the business model. Is this that you go into design? Tell me about that.
Sure. So Mosaic Design Studio, what we do is the large homes, anywhere from 24 residents up to 400 residents, maybe 1,000 residents, that you might live in assisted living, independent living, skilled nursing, or memory care building. Our team works on those projects, and we do a blend in between what you might need for healthcare, what's going to be great for your quality of life and resort-style living, and then also how do you make sure that you stay connected with your families and friends. So that's Mosaic Design Studio. We have a fabulous team. And then Best Living Tech is a company that is an online company where we curate the best tech for folks to be able to age in place on their own terms.
So this is a design. You go into, let me just get clarity here. You're going in, you're designing the way a building is and is structured. Is that correct?
Everything from, where we place the bathrooms and how big the dining room is to all the little tiny details as to what kind of artwork goes in and the accessories on the table.
So you yourself, are you an architect or you work with a group of architects or who is on the team?
We're interior design. Yes, we're an interior design firm, but we do have architects on staff, and then we collaborate with architects, engineers, and contractors.
Very interesting.
Lisa, I hear congratulations are in order. I read on your website that you are regarded as the leading Alzheimer's and long-term care design expert in the nation, and you've been recognized for contributions in the field. Can you tell us more about that?
Thank you. Well, I think, part of it is I'm just absolutely passionate about aging and making it a lot more about the quality of life that we have and how we stay connected than that it's a disease and it's just something that we're going to have to deal with. And I think a little bit of that comes from my family background. My one set of grandparents lived to 99 and almost 100. And then my other set, my grandmother lived to 96. Her father, my great-grandfather, lived to 92. And then over the past several years, I moved my mother and father in their late 70s, and then my grandmother at 92 with Alzheimer's, in with my husband and I and our 2 kids. And so I really was able to, take my design education and the work that we did in-house and with all our clients and apply it in a real-world situation in my own home. And I think that transforms you as a designer when you're actually living in it.
So describe in a living environment for me. How would that vary from a typical environment, regular house? Tell me the differences.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, especially because we had 4 generations in one home, so that was very unique. And then we also had my grandmother with Alzheimer's. So some of the things that we did when we moved in together was, I kept spaces purposeful so that it was easier for her to understand. So we kept the kitchen, and the dining room, instead of blowing out the walls and making it one room. We opened up the circulation. There were some dead-end rooms. Before we renovated, you walked into the living room and you had to walk out the same area. So we opened up and punched some holes in some walls so that she could have a wandering loop and be able to walk through the home without getting stuck if her memory failed her. We also created a in-law suite for her and for my parents. And then we used technology. We put bidet toilet seats in. We did Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. We had smart lighting that also would notify me how many times she got up in the middle of the night, so we could try to be proactive if she was, forgetting to take her medicine or maybe had a UTI or something like that.
So does this also include a security system in case she, I don't know where she is in the level of her Alzheimer's or dementia. Does this include a security system to keep her safe?
It did. It did not at first. I'm a big believer in flexibility and meeting someone where they are. To that extent, I had, she had to do steps, and so did my parents, because I considered it physical therapy every day. So we started out not really with any security system. My mom was the primary caregiver, and we found that we started to, have some issues where she might want to go outside out of her sliding glass door living room, and it might be too cold or in the middle of the night. So we ended up having to secure that. We ended up putting a camera system in her living room so that if we were out of the house, that we could check on her and make sure she was okay without invading her privacy. And then the smart lighting that would notify us when she had movement and was coming in and out of her space if we weren't there.
So outside of the facility that you designed, are there facilities that you can recommend in the community that you would say are similar or are geared towards patients who have Alzheimer's disease or dementia? That you would say,
there are. Mm-hmm. We do probably more purpose-built memory care homes than anyone in the world, designing them. And I will tell you that if you go to a purpose-built, memory care home, which is made for people with dementia, Alzheimer's, Lewy body, there's a whole gamut of different needs, Parkinson related. Right. They really do a fantastic job. So some of the things that they're going to do and that you need to look for is, one, they need to have the ability to have outdoor space that's on the inside of the building. So you access the outdoor space through an interior courtyard so that the residents can be safe and go out as much as they want to, but you don't have to worry about them wandering in the street or wandering off. Mm-hmm. So it increases their independence and dignity. Another thing is you want to look for fantastic natural light. Light helps so much kick off the circadian rhythm and helps them to sleep better and have just a much better ability to be happy and to recognize things longer. So that's another thing. And then staff needs to be purposely trained. And then the environment shouldn't be overwhelmingly noisy visually. If I always kind of say, if you liken it to driving someplace that you've never driven before and your GPS goes out, and let's say you're in LA and you're on 10 lanes of traffic and you're trying to figure out and looking at all the signs and you figure out you're in the wrong lane and you're trying to get over, there's a lot of stress in that. Versus either having a GPS or driving down the 2-lane highway and there's one sign and it's in ample enough time to, let you have less stress and know whether you're supposed to get off at that exit or not. So we want to have environments that are clear, that help support what they're supposed to do. So in the dining room, we want to have pictures of food. And in the living rooms, we want to have things that support that. And in the game room, things that support that. So it makes it easier to understand and just have a better day.
So I want to spend a little time talking about your article called 10 Safety Tips for Living Independently. Tell us some of the 10 steps briefly.
Well, I think, I kind of change my mind a lot, but I believe that, you really have to live with an attitude that you're going to be doing better today than you were yesterday. And I think that is one of the keys to be able to be happy. And I see so many people that just see tomorrow as worse than today. And it doesn't have to be that way. I think we let ourselves, especially as Americans, get in a groove that we kind of let our bodies and our minds get a little lazy, and then we think that's the status quo. And it's actually not the status quo. You can, build your muscles back up. That's part of the reason why I make sure that my parents and my grandmother had steps. You can do little tiny things that can help you, like adjusting the heights of things, decluttering and organizing, installing grab bars, utilizing tech, which I already talked about, doing some safety things. I don't know about you. I mean, I try not to use my phone that much when I drive, but when I'm at home, I'm more of a distracted cooker, than I should be. And sometimes I'll burn food or forget about it because I'll get on the phone or I'll be doing something else. And as we age, that can happen also. So installing automatic shut-off devices on the stove so you don't even have to worry about it. Those are some great things. Making the flooring safe and the garden. It's great to get outside and to garden and to take care and get the natural sunlight. But you have to be cognizant of the fact that you're probably not nimble like a 14 or 15-year-old anymore. And your eyes might not be quite as good. Matter of fact, seniors often require 70% more light than that of a 24-year-old. So, being aware that there might be something slippery or moss or leaves that could cause you to slip and fall, or making sure that when it's icy, you really take care to have some grit or have someone else clear the path. Those types of things, and then great lighting, can really help make your experience fantastic but also safe.
You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with my student co-host, Vanita Mathias, who is a student completing her master's degree in nursing education at Cini Polytech. And today we're talking about safety tips for living independently and about aging in place with Lisa Cini, the founder, president, and CEO of Mosaic Design Studio and Best Living Tech. So, Lisa, we want to switch gears and talk a little bit about aging in place. Could you explain a little bit more about this, and what does aging in place really mean?
That's a great question. Aging in place used to be how we actually did things. You would age where you bought your home, your family home, and you would end up passing there. And that was very, very common. And then, our hospitals came about, and then some folks would have a crisis event and they would go to a hospital, and that was where you passed. And then hospitals got bigger and bigger and healthcare got more complicated. Folks would end up maybe going to the hospital and then going to a skilled nursing facility and then going back home or staying in skilled nursing. And then about 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, assisted living, independent living hit, where the thought process was, I've been living in this cold weather forever. I'm going to, move to Florida, or I'm going to move to Arizona, or I'm going to move wherever.
I'm not going to be around my family support structure any longer. So what am I going to do as I age to make sure that I'm safe? And so that's where this whole assisted living, skilled nursing, and all that kind of came about, because the support structure wasn't there. Well, folks are moving back, I think partially because 2008 we had a bit of a bump with the economy. But so people didn't have quite the amount of disposable income to live, to move to Florida or Arizona or California or wherever, to some of the sunshine states. But also, that swing of the pendulum came back and said, you know what? I don't want to be disconnected from my family. I want to see my grandkids grow up. I want to go to their high school football games. I don't want to just be a snowbird. And so I want to live in my house and I want to age in place. How do I do that and still make it safe, where I have the freedom to have my own home and be connected and still be connected to my community? So when aging in place, it could be that you're aging in place with your, daughter or son, which is what my parents have done with me. Or it could mean that you're living in your own house where you have always lived, or maybe you've downsized, but you just don't have the desire to go into a community. And what the statistics say is about 90% of Americans do not want to go into senior living.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty huge amount. And then of those 10% that are fine with going into senior living, there's only probably 1 to 2% that can afford private pay, which is the resort style living. So it really is a very, very small niche that my company deals with, and everyone thinks that it's, a massive amount. So the last couple of years, we've really focused on aging in place, because that's 98% of the population probably, that is dealing with this.
And it is also very cultural, would you say?
Yes.
That there are certain
definitely.
cultures that tend to not want, even though they may be able to afford it, to go to assisted living facilities. They'd rather stay in the home environment.
No, I agree 100%. I spend a lot of time traveling the world and looking at the best senior living tech and projects and how people are doing things. And, traveling to Italy or to China, it's considered very disrespectful.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different mindset. And here in the United States, for a lot of folks, it's considered respectful to be able to afford to put your mom in a really, really nice place. So it really does depend on the culture. I grew up Italian, and it was just something that we didn't talk about doing it. It wasn't something that was okay.
Are there any restrictions or safety concerns to address at home with aging in place?
I think there's really no federal or state or local restrictions. The biggest thing is to be smart about it. And I actually wrote a book. I've written 2 books. One is Hive, The Simple Guide to Multi-Generational Living. And I go through kind of the little tidbits of, like, here's how the things that I learned, even as a top senior living designer, that I wish I would have known beforehand, that you can do to your home to make it a lot easier. One is increasing the lighting, reducing clutter, making sure that things are, easy to understand, adding, elegant handrails and utilizing tech. But the other is meeting people where they're at and then understanding the social aspect of it. I had no idea the social implications to, having my parents and my grandmother live with us. Just trying to figure out who gets to put the Christmas decorations out was quite the thing.
How much would you say, just give it a range guesstimation of how much would it be to convert a typical home into a, you say stay home, or a home that is sensitive to the needs of someone that has dementia or Alzheimer-related illnesses?
I think, it could be anything from just a couple $1,000 up to, $100,000, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Again, how I did it, and it may not be right for everyone, but we didn't have the money to do everything the same right at the beginning, and I wasn't sure what we were all going to need. So we implemented items as we needed them. For instance, the security that we talked about, that was down the road. Lighting was right away. We took care of lighting immediately. Trip hazards we took care of immediately. Putting bidet toilet seats, which are about $350 on each of the toilets, we did that immediately. That was a very low cost, high value design item that we did that really helped all of us.
So if anybody, the listening audience, wants to get in contact with you, how would they do so?
So you can go to Lisa M. Cini, CINI.com, or you can follow me on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, and just reach out to me. I would love to chat with you, answer any questions that you might have.
And so when we do contact you, is it that you come in to give us a sense of design? What is a part of your services specifically?
So yes, that's a great question. Right now, Mosaic Design Studio works primarily with the large, home providers, but we are collaborating, building a collaboration right now to be able to help homeowners. So I have just purchased a 10,000 square foot 1914 mansion that I'm turning into an Airbnb aging in place showroom. So with that, we're going to be showcasing all the tech that's out there. People can actually come in and try out the $14,000 tub and the bidet toilet seats and the robots and all of that kind of stuff. And we're going to be partnering with a home renovation company that could come in and be able to help, modify your home.
And you said robots. Tell me about robots.
Yeah, well, I loved, I don't know if you ever watched George Jetson or anything like that, but I actually love that show.
I love George Jetson.
And there's a lot of the robots that were in George Jetson are actually available to us now. I mean, when you think about, they might not look like what you think, but when you think about Google Home product or Alexa, Amazon Alexa, I mean, those are personal assistants, and they are actually robots. A Roomba vacuum cleaner is a robot. The robots that mow the yard are robots. The pool, we have a pool, and we had a robot called the Dolphin that cleaned the pool, and it was fantastic because our Dolphin always showed up on time, always got it done, never complained. It was fantastic. So anything that you can do to implement robotic or AI technology, putting a Nest camera and doorbell lock so that you can see before you get out the door and open it up and make sure you're safe. So all those types of things I think are fantastic technology for anyone that's aging or just wants to have be safe and feel more comfortable in their home.
I think so. That's true. So any parting thoughts and just in one sentence would you leave with the listening audience about the importance of this topic?
I think we need to change the conversation and move from fear to freedom. It shouldn't be about what we're taking away and how we're making our life smaller as we age or the people that we love that are aging. It should be about how we're creating our next season and living our greatest season. And I think we can do that through technology and community and really embracing our wisdom that we've gained along the way.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Lisa Cini, founder, president, and CEO of Mosaic Design Studio and Best Living Tech. This is Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with my co-host, Vanita Mathias, who is a student completing her master's degree in nursing education at Cini Polytech. And we will be right back with a special award presentation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Did you know e-cigarettes can be just as addictive as regular cigarettes? This is especially true for teenagers whose brains are still developing. Parents should learn the names for e-cigarettes and what they look like. Talk to your teen about the dangers of nicotine. Often, teens who start with e-cigarettes take up other forms of tobacco. For more information, visit healthychildren.org and talk with your pediatrician.
We now return to your family's health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome back to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. The Tobacco-Free Campus Initiative here at Nassau Community College recently held a tobacco-free campus contest where they asked students to support a tobacco-free campus environment. It was a friendly competition to create awareness of a necessary change here at Nassau Community College, asking students what they can do to promote a tobacco, smoke, and vape-free campus. The second place winner was Milton Thomas, who is here in the studio today, right now. Hi, Milton.
Hello, Jeanine.
So tell us why you decided that it was important to participate in this tobacco-free initiative.
I believe it's very good to be aware that smoking is like a detrimental side effect, and then I wanted to bring it out in a creative expression through poetry.
Wonderful. So sort of a creative version for being proactive with this initiative. So I understand that you won by submitting a poem and you brought a friend along with you. Hello, Nick Bruno.
Hello, Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard. How are you doing today?
And how long have you two been friends?
For a wonderful 2 weeks from the great Professor Huntington's Math 100 class.
Okay, and so although you guys have been friends for only 2 weeks, you share an important initiative here. And you understand the gravity of having a smoke-free campus.
Of course,
both of you.
Yes.
I also understand that you want to be a part of this initiative. Tell us your personal story.
Well, my personal story would be that I've been a cigarette smoker for 7 years, and just not good at all. So I do support the tobacco-free campus because nothing but good things can come out of that, because smoking's no good for no one. They even put new labels on the packs nowadays about how many people die from secondhand smoke, which is kind of insane, you know what I mean? So I don't want to kill nobody just because I have a horrible, bad addiction to nicotine, you know, which I am going to quit.
Oh,
and definitely am going to quit.
That sounds
I mean,
like
why
a
put it
quit.
off, you know,
Yeah.
when you can do it now, but, you know, start fresh for the decade.
So without any further delay, let's hear the poem entitled Puff Puff Now.
All right, here is Puff Puff by Milton Thomas. Puff Puff, in goes the toxic gas, please have some class. Puff, puff, his poor lungs, pretty soon they will be done. Doesn't he realize smoking is unclean? That it will turn his brain green? Oh well. Puff, puff, after 1,000 inhales, his face turns pale. He collapses and wails. The doctor looks and says, tough, tough, and you guessed it, the boy's life. Puff, puff.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for reading that, Nick Bruno.
Thank you so much for having me.
Writing it and winning second place, Milton Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For more information about Tobacco-Free Initiative, you can visit ncc.edu. This is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard, and we want to thank you for listening to this week's edition of Your Family's Health.
We'd like to get your feedback on your family's health. Send your comments by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu. Podcasts of today's show are available on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This program was produced at the studios of Nassau Community College in cooperation with the Nursing Department. Join us next week for another edition of Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.